Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be checking out the Guppy, which is a light carrier, a smaller version of the Shark, and the only one of its kind that I'm aware of in game where it's a smaller version of a capital ship in terms of carrier capabilities. Now this is specifically carrier. This isn't a gunboat, it's not a a light dreadnought, light destroyer or anything like that. This strictly is designed to bring in a small amount of fighters in whilst defending itself. So the concept's interesting, and it's quite a nice ship. It's quite a bigger ship to what you'd expect to be bringing in a small complement of ships other than the capital, if that makes sense. You know, if you're going to be bringing in ships, I'd expect a capital ship to be coming in. But then some of the other ships are comparatively quite big compared to this one. So it's nice to have a little bit of a smaller ship go in there with some smaller fighters and drop them in, which is kind of cool. And bonus, it looks pretty cool too. This is the ship on the exterior. We're currently carrying the same complement of ships we had for the Shark. If you haven't already seen that video, then make sure you check it out.
Discoverer, Vanguard.
Basically, we have loaded the ship up with Discoverer Vanguards because, like the Shark, it's got a little hidden detail to it. But first of all, let's admire the external view of the Guppy. So, it's the similar design to the Shark, but on a much smaller scale, which is to be expected, I guess, considering it holds the same purpose. However, this ship doesn't have the kind of section that the Shark had here that carries medium ships. This ship actually carries no medium ship capacity whatsoever. It is designed for small ships only, and they launch pretty much the same way as the Shark does. And if you haven't seen that, I'm going to show you now. So let's get our Guppy, let's get our Alpha Fleet, and let's convert our Alpha Fleet into precision defense and drag the precision defense away, and you'll see now they start launching.
Hello there.
So they get shoved out to the side and then continue launching. You can just see how fast it can unload 16 ships. We got 8 internal and 8 on the deck. That was a good view. All 16 ships are now deployed, and the carrier is free to continue doing what it was doing. If we recall said ships, remove from position storage, you'll see that the docks light up, ready to take the ships on board. And it's not 100% every time how it works. Sometimes they do kind of glitch a little bit when it's putting them in internal storage. But overall, it's a pretty cool concept. So they come in close and they line up. There are little markers that you see when you're flying one of these ships, and I will show you that marker shortly. And you see they get dragged into the side and docked. Once they're then docked, they sit on the platform and await further instructions, or when more ships come in to be docked, they'll then lower them into the internal storage, much like any other kind of ship generally does. You'll see, there you go, and they go down into the internal storage. Ready to receive next lot of ships. There you go, lit up. So they're now accepting the ships. They've been kind of called for. Ships go into the location that they're supposed to, and then dragged back in. It's pretty cool.
Discoverer,
Right,
Vanguard.
we're going to take control of this ship here. If
Discoverer, Vanguard.
I can't teleport from here, I'll have to do it from the menu. Let's take this one here that you'll do. Teleport to. There we go.
Discoverer, Vanguard.
We'll take control of the Discoverer Vanguard. It is already docked, but it's fine. So we're going to undock.
Successfully docked.
You see it launches us out to the side, and there's our blue markers, and a perfectly timed autosave. But yeah, you get these little blue markers, so these are what you're aiming for. And then from there, the ship's automatic docking system will take control of your ship for you and dock. There we go. You can see them as you're flying around. So if we wanted to dock, we'd request docking permission as
Guppy.
usual. Guppy.
Docking granted.
You can see there's our docking location that we need. So we align ourselves with that. It takes over and slots us straight in. And
Successfully docked.
we are now docked.
Discoverer
As
Vanguard.
cool as that. Right. That Discoverer Vanguard has now been taken off the. Oh, it's gone back on. As a matter of fact, let's take the walk. Because we're on board the deck already. So let's head on downstairs. Similar docking platforms as you would expect. They look the same. Nothing special. But as we go into here, use the teleport room to go to the bridge. This is where everything changes. There's our internal door. Similar look to the Shark internally. There's a very basic kind of initial look to it. Some kind of cool kind of layout on the screen there. The screen's obviously different to what we've seen previously. And then the bridge layout is slightly similar to the Shark, but smaller. The Shark had three bridges on the three consoles at the front. This only has two. It has the two rear ones of the captain's one or the commanding one, whichever one you want to call it, and then obviously it has the main command console there. Slightly stubbier version of the Shark, but still looks pretty cool all the same. So this is the Guppy. It's I think it's going to be an interesting ship to have within a fleet. Because your small fighters are now safe within a carrier. The carrier has its own defense capabilities, and then when you're in range, it's going to deploy all of its ships. You can even afford to lose the smaller carriers and still have the larger carrier with a capacity to contain medium and small ships as well. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, no, this one won't dock. So it will stay alongside the Shark. Now, if we have a look on the map, we can see just how much different in size. I'm going to bring the Shark alongside so we can get a better size comparison. Whilst that's moving into position, let us have a look at comparisons. So let's go into our encyclopedia. Go to our comparison, ship comparison. Let's add the ship. It's a large vessel, Guppy carrier. As you can see, it is the only one of its kind. There is no other carriers here. We've got freighters, miners, destroyers. There's your carrier in the middle of all the destroyers, and then the scavenger, which again is a unique vessel. High preset, as per usual. It can only carry its own boron weapon systems, its own boron shields. We have spoken about specifics with weapons and stuff like that. If you want to know a little bit more about that, then you can check out the video that I did with all of the ships on. It also talks to the weapon systems and the new special abilities. Let's confirm that. Now, let's add a couple of destroyers in. Let's add the Barbarossa in, because it is a kind of specialty ship. It doesn't carry too much in the way of stuff, but it does have some sort of capacity. Let's add that on there. And then let's add another vessel on there as well. It's a destroyer kind of size ship, so let's go with the Rattlesnake. We did the split carrier last time, so we'll do the split destroyer. And I don't know if these make any changes in comparisons, but I add them on anyway, just in case. There we go. Let's add that to it. Okay, so we get some comparisons here. I'm going to compare across the board this time, whereas on the Shark I did more a little bit of an in-depth on each one, but these are both technically the same size vessel as the Guppy in terms of categories or class or whatever you want to put it down as. So straight away you notice the hull on the Rattlesnake is almost twice the size, whereas the Barbarossa's roughly about the same. So we're looking around the Barbarossa's kind of quality in terms of hull. However, The shielding on this Guppy is far more considerable than that on the Barbarossa and Rattlesnake. I'm noticing a pattern at the moment that most of the shielding on our new Boron ships are higher than most of the other ships. You can see that here, quite considerable. It's 7421, so almost 4 times the shield capacity. Recharge rate is much higher, considerably higher. Group shields, again, individual group shields, so shields that are on your turrets, that are on your consoles, your engines, stuff like that, they're lower. The recharge rate is also lower, but not much lower in terms of the Rattlesnake. However, the recharge delay is also much lower, which is in this terms good for us. Average turret output, quite considerable turret output from this ship. That's probably going to be the case of, because obviously, number one, the Rattlesnake has its main cannon, and the Barbarossa has container storage, and various other bits and bobs that are good with the Barbarossa. Speed, it's around about average for all three. Acceleration, again, it's got a higher acceleration than the other two, and then the boost is in the middle of the two as well. Travel speed is higher. Again, that's something I've noticed, that travel speed on most of the Boron ships are higher. Strafe speed and strafe acceleration, nothing to be surprised there. They are lower again, generally. Your pitch and roll are better. Again, we've seen that on most of the ships so far. Container storage, it has a higher container storage than the Destroyer. However, the Barbarossa obviously is designed as more like an armoured freighter, basically. Or an armed and armoured freighter. So the fact it's got higher capacity doesn't surprise me. However, the Rattlesnake has far lesser of a container storage. The Guppy is superior by 10 times. Docks, obviously the Guppy is a carrier, so it has 8 docks compared to the 1 dock from its predecessors of the other classes. And the capacity is actually surprisingly lower than the Rattlesnake. Now, the Rattlesnake, I have noticed that most of the split obviously designed to have onboard ships held in storage, so they can launch one at a time, but they can launch many of them. Whereas this will be able to run in, drop 16 ships, and pull back out again. Whereas the Rattlesnake's going to have to stay there, take a battery, and whilst it deploys all 40 of its ships. Everything else is pretty much standard. It contains more missiles and higher units. It's actually a little bit surprising to see the comparisons. I'd expect the Guppy to have been less in terms of its capabilities of defense and designed to be a get in, drop and get out. Whereas it could probably go toe-to-toe with the Rattlesnake, but it'll have already deployed its fighters, and you'll have the fighters now taking your shields down as well as the carrier. However, it has only got turret capabilities, so it's going to be able to defend itself in terms of small and medium ships, but anything bigger than that, and it's going to start struggling, so bear that in mind. Still, it's pretty awesome. It looks like it's going to be able to hold its own, and I'm looking forward to seeing what it can do in the field. So, that's our comparisons done. We've also had a look at the internals. We've also had a look at the deployment of it. The last thing I just want to leave you with now is a quick look around the ship externally in a bit of a less jarring way. So we'll use the usual, the new system that we've got, which is obviously the live stream. Before we do that, however, let's have a look and see if we can get a bit of a comparison in terms of the Shark. Now the Shark is probably not close enough. There's the Shark there. So let's get ourselves alongside the Shark. So we'll take command of the Shark. The Guppy. That gives us a chance to have a look externally at the engine systems, because again we got to see the Shark's engine system. So let's have a look. Oh, that does look smart. So it's all embedded inside. Good defense of the actual the engines, because you're gonna have to try and get through these areas here that are all covered up. Not as easy to get to, and if you're at full throttle, the fact that you might get caught by the actual engines themselves and get damaged whilst you're trying to take them out is higher. I kind of like that. Right, let's get us over to where our bigger ship is, which is just above us. the ship's speed is impressive. So this is boosting speed here now. We're already at max speed and already cruising quite comfortably. In terms of carriers, that's quite OP. Because we're going to be able to get on deck before anybody else. So, we are not alongside it yet, but we can already see the considerable size difference. Which is probably why we're a lot more maneuverable compared. Let's just try and bring ourselves a little bit closer. There we go. Okay. So, that there, above us, is much, much bigger than we are. However, the two together can really cause some problems. That's a lot of fighters, very fast. And I think if you use that to your advantage, it's going to be dangerous. Look at the size difference. That's smart. So, hopefully you've enjoyed having a look at the new ship, the Guppy. This is the Light Carrier. And as I say, I'm looking forward to seeing it in action. If you've got any questions or comments or anything like that, let me know in the comment section as usual. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to leave you with the live stream as promised, so you can check it out in all of its glory. And hopefully you enjoy it. Well, until next time, everybody, take care for now, and I shall see you all on the next one. Bye-bye for now.